Bonjour! So this is going to be one of your very few videos you actually see me in it because being able to correctly pronounce French letters is going to require your mouth to do a couple of different things that it may not be used to doing based on what you already can do in English. And that is because the mouth movements are actually essential in making the correct sounds. So in English, I don't really need to move my mouth very much, and you can still understand what I'm saying, and that works out totally fine. That's not the case in French. You really need to move your mouth correctly, or else it's just, you're not going to be as understandable and you're not going to sound as much like a native speaker as you would if you were correctly moving your mouth. So the biggest place that we're going to find the different mouth movements are going to be with the vowels. Starting with the letter A, we are going to want our mouth to be very long and very loose when we make the A sound. So in English, it's actually a little bit tighter, right? When I say A, you can kind of feel the tension in your mouth. But in French, when we make the A sound, it's going to be very loose and long. So just ah, 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 right? I don't need to make it anything crazy. I don't need to get too big. Ah, it's not going to be like that. But it is still going to be a little bit looser than what we're used to in English. So just do that again with me. Ah, ah, ah. Très bien. The E sound is going to be the most neutral mouth position out of all of the vowels. Sometimes it is explained that the E can kind of sound like you're getting hit with something in the stomach, but I think people get too crazy with that a little bit. So it's not going to be ugh, but it's going to be a much shorter version of that, right? If you got hit with something, it's a little too dramatic, so take it a little bit less dramatic, Now again, your mouth is in the most neutral position, so you do not need to make it long and loose the way you did with your A, aw, right? Doesn't need to be that much, and it doesn't need to be tight the way it's going to be with the other vowels that we're going to talk about today. So just very neutral, very calm position. Awesome. So then we move on to our I sound, and the I sound is going to be one of the tighter ones, and it's almost going to seem as if you're smiling when you make this sound, and so your lips should be very tight. So you should be saying E, E, E. And if you want to smile while you do it to make yourself feel really happy, E, E. See, we just got so happy doing that. The O sound, although it sounds very similar to what we say in English, it's actually going to be a little bit different because we need to make our mouth into an O shape in order for this to be pronounced correctly. So in English, we can say O, and I barely moved my mouth. It didn't even change, right? Oh, oh. I don't have to do anything for that. But in French, when you make the O sound, you should actually be making your lips into an O shape. So you should be saying O, O, O. Should be very tight, and you should literally be able to see a tiny little circle into your mouth. O, O, O. Très bien. And then our last vowel is going to be the U, and the U is going to be the most different from what we make in English because it's actually a sound that we do not have in English. So I will try my best to really help you be able to distinguish the difference between making a sound that sounds like this, oo, versus a sound that sounds like this, u. Those are two different sounds. And as you go on in French, you will find that it becomes much easier to distinguish. Right now, it may not seem that way, but you will get there for sure. But the way we're going to be making the U sound is we're going to make the E sound inside our mouth, and then our lips are going to be making the O shape. So we're going to start by making the E sound, E, and then we're going to turn our lips from being in the E shape, they look like this, to being into the O shape where they look like that. So we're going to go E, ooh, ooh. So our inside of our mouth is still going E, 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 but our outside is going ooh, ooh, ooh. And together it becomes ooh, ooh, ooh. Right? So let's try that again. E, ooh, ooh, ooh. So every time you see a U in French, when it's by itself and not with any other vowels, you're going to be making the oo sound. Oo, oo. And our Q is going to sound very similar to that. So just like in English, how Q and U are obviously very connected, the same is going to be true in French. So we make our U sound, U, U, and then put a K sound in front of that, Q, Q, Q. And that's going to give us our Q sound. So let's go over our vowels one more time. So répétez, A, E, I, O, U. So we should see not too much changing between our O and our U, but the inside of our mouth is going to be making different sounds between those two. All right, so you should be practicing these letters, all the letters, but especially the vowels, as much as you can. And I hope that this will help you to be ready for our French sounds.